Signal picked up. Imperial response. Station destroyed. Investigating. Suspected sabotage by unidentified fleet. Full military response declared. He sighed. But they can't walk it back. He looked across his crew. Exhausted Butilev, hearts pledged. He walked to Mara's side. We did it, she whispered. And yet I know, he pulled her close. They spent the next day sending files to every free warren, pirate den, rebel cell, evidence of genocide, exterminations, historical fabrications. As broadcasts flooded the quadrant, Hishart felt both hope and dread. This was only the beginning. When Pfeffenel files sent, he walked to the command deck, looked at the hollow of the destroyed relay. He kept those watching. They erased us. But we rose. We risked everything so no Z-stem ever looks the other way. Let this ember burn. He paused. We are Earth reborn. Under the frozen stars, he stood with Mara and Juno, watching systems light up with alien names cheering the breach. He closed his eyes, knowing tomorrow would bring reprisals. But tonight they struck. Shared blood, shared scars. A new war begun. The Ghost Fleet stood on the edge of history. And he whispered to himself, I'm not in your records, but I'm in your future. The aftermath of the relay strike rippled like shockwaves. His comlink buzzed with reports as the coalition bolt around them began to fracture under pressure. Systems that cheered yesterday now whispered fear. They were dealing in truths the Empire wanted erased. And now the Empire was showing its teeth. He sat in the command deck center chair. Hollow globe of rebel-aligned territories shimmering in red and gold. Outside the Ghost Fleet drifted. Silent but armed, waiting on his orders and prayers. Beneath the glow of hollows, Juno entered, face drawn. Emissaries from Titan's tiers want to renegotiate. Demand we focus attacks on Empire supply routes, not strategic structures. He looked up. At what cost? They'll pull out if we don't comply. Their fleet's arrival hinged on promises, operational priorities. They have influence. He ground his teeth. They gave us fighters. We didn't ask them to rewrite our mission. We had Empire supply relay search. Their data correction gave them the leverage. Juno nodded. So they hold it. They want us to accept constraints. And if we comply, he asked. She sighed. We lose momentum. Risk civilian tragedies. He closed his eyes. Freedom isn't polite. Juno placed a hand on his shoulder. There's more. The Empire is mobilizing Third Dominion. Warships, brutal cleansers, hundreds of vessels converging. He let that land. Then we escalate. He convened the captains in main briefing. Faces lit by holoscreen showing converging Empire fleets. We have leverage. The bridge system, Therift Gate Chain near Furrow Station, is their fastest range gesture to deploy forces. If we hit one node, we slow them weeks. A murmur rose. If we do that, Juno added, Titan's tiers will withdraw. They consider it dose too aggressive, he cut in. But if we let Empire fleet slide through, Titan's tiers lose his faith and new systems desert us. We could collapse in weeks. Casualties? One captain asked. High, he said. But doable. We'll use drone swarms and precision sabotage. Use Mara's surgical teams. Let us carry this strike quietly. Then we broadcast why it was necessary. Another captain frowned. You asked to fight 2 battles. Empire and our own allies. He rammed a fist on the armrest. I asked them to be free. Back in private, he found Juno pacing. We have to prepare Mara, she said quietly. If you do this gate strike, she go in. That route means her team and that station's people's HQ will have to sack Pharaohs. He stared. She volunteered, she believes, but this mission could break her. She paused. She's already lost so much. He exhaled hard. Freedom always comes with pain. She looked away. Then we throttled back. He shook his head. We pushed forward. 3 hours later, they launched. The fleet moved. An ominous crescent of hybrid freighters, gunships, covert tiramblers. They slipped through Corridor Theta, plan on track to Pharaohs. Pharaoh Station blazed with civilian craft. Extraction modules, hub for refugee-scaping Empire territory. The Rift Gate device hovered nearby, a ringed mass of corrosive blue energy humming. His gut clenched, but he held tight. He sent Mara and her team in first. Cloaked stealth hover shuttles wide enough for 4. Their task: plant Candide disruptors on the Rift Gate's stabilizer shafts. Do it quickly, silently, invisible to shields. His eyes followed the blinded feed as the first shuttle docked. Mara stepped out. She moved like a ghost, snapping cables, carving ports, tapping overrides. Then alarms ripped. Imperial recon drones emerged. Automated guns tracked the station. He cursed loudly. "Drones out and down," he ordered. Gunships launched, moving in hut. Beams flared. Drones swung deep. Suddenly, the feed went red as Mara's huddle rocked. "Sir Mara, hit." Juno yelled. He froze. Time stopped. Mara's voice crackled. Stabilizers jammed. "Need evacuation." The feed cut. Silence gripped him. Every captain waiting. "Options?" Someone asked. He looked up. Drone strike on the station. Rapid EVAC. If we kill the gate operator servers, gate collapses. The swing throttled. But station casualties. Hideout. They all looked down. Some nodded. He took a breath. Do it. They unleashed drone swarms. Hundreds of kamikaze bots, swarming toward the station's ring. Plasma drones erupted on contact, and the Rift Gate's ring fractured. Lights dimmed, arcs flickered. The station convulsed. Inside, alarms screamed. Mara's team sprinted back. 3 made it. 1 stayed behind. Station debris cut off. Mara staggered into the shuttle alone. Lifted limp figure. Third operator gravely hurt. Strapped him in. She slammed the hatch closed. He watched her pale face. She dialed the exit feed. Gate disabled. Casualties too many. Evac triggered. Her eyes flicked. He gave the code. The shuttle exploded out. Cyclones hurled from the station. Defenders hunting them. His fleet returned fire for cover. The shuttle slipped to safety. Inside, Mara sat bloodied, shaking. The operator she rescued was alive but critical. He ran to them aboard command ship. She collapsed when he reached. He supported her. "You saved him?" he asked. She nodded. Tears streamed. He begged. I honored it. He didn't comfort. He just steadied her against the hull. He looked at the op, barely breathing. Medic. Juno was already there, calm, but her eyes were wet. Inside medbed. Heart monitor beeped slower than steadied. He let out breath. They'd hit the Rift Gate. The Empire's warships would take days to reroute. Supplies rerouted. Fleets slowed. But Hekos was sharp. 316 civilian casualties. Dozens of refugee vessels destroyed. Pharaoh Station life path shattered. Titan's tears emissary dented. They cease such attacks or withdraw. The coalition fractured in fewer room. The hollow map flickered. Allied border zones shrank. Systems once seen gold flag markers switching to gray. Tensions boiled. One captain slammed his fist. What's done is done. You pulled the trigger on a civilian hub. He stood up. No lying, no victimization. The gate needed disabled. Less casualties overall than losing entire systems. The captain spat. You lost innocent lives. You'll lose too. Another looked to him. Orders. Harris, we regroup. We focus next on Empire shipyards. But no more civilian targets. He looked at Mara kneeling outside the room. Ever. Juno exhaled. She slipped soon. He nodded. That night, he found Mara in the ship shrine room. Empty hold fashioned into sobering memorial of fallen crew and civilians. Dust motes danced in reactor hum. A single name blinked. Feroz. He approached. She stared at the world-glass eyes hollow. You saved someone, he said softly. She didn't respond. He took her hand. And we heard innocence. We make tremendous choices. No glory and miscalculations. She turned. Tears streaked steel. I ickled kids. He drew her close. You killed no one. We did together. In war, every bullet asks which soul pays. She shook. I can't stop hearing them. He wiped her tears. Then we start earning forgiveness with every life we protect. Later, in silence, he placed the phoenix disc in her palm. We rebuild from ashes. By dawn, Titan steers had officially withdrawn support. A fleet already warped toward Ghost Fleet staging zone, unaligned path. Their numbers dropped, recruitment slowed, supplies tightened. The full weight of revolution settled onto Cold's shoulders. At briefing, he faced the remaining captains. We lost allies, Hesed. But we still stand. Maybe stronger for it. A murmur of assent. Westrike next on Majorca shipyards. No civilians, no refugee zones. Pure Empire military infrastructure. Heads nodded. I'm calling volunteers for ground infiltration. Mara's team will lead. Hostage rescue intel steel. Silence sank. Then Juno spoke. We go. Hel looked at Mara, her eyes steady now, resolve sharpened. In the following hers they prepared, ramming pods, stealth teams, diversion drones, no civilian gear, only combat. He wandered out to deck viewport, looking for a sign. Instead, he found Juno. She joined him side by side. Farah's hit us hard, she said quietly. He nodded. People will understand. She turned to him. Will you? He exhaled. I hope so. A long moment passed. She puffed on his arm. Through the hard days you made us choose humanity. He met her gaze. That's why we fight. That night, the fleet wore galaxed into blackout mode. Rebels and mercs loaded pods. Mara's surgical team drilled final intel drops. He watched them in silence. He whispered, for them, for Feroz, for Earth. Then he walked away to ready the final push. The war room hummed under light restraints. Around him, captains and officers watched a live feed of the Majorca shipyards. An enormous complex built into an asteroid, rings of welding bays, assembly docks, and therming machinery designed to churn out cruisers and destroyers by the hour. He studied the layout. Behind Thomas weren't soldiers. They were punishing shadows. But as with any war, what fuels fury eventually ripples into compassion for both sides. A message came through private channel. It was labeled with her name. Mara, it said only. They're reckoning. They have her. He leaned back, fists clenching. Mara, his second in command, shield bearer, the one who held him steady when nightmares came. She'd been missing since the archive raid, left behind intentionally when the station imploded. He didn't like it, but he trusted her to get out. He trusted. Now someone had found her. He strode into the briefing room. Rough metal underfoot, aroma of recycled air. His crew stood at attention, wary. The mood was tense. Rumors spread fast in tight-knit units. He cut the silence with hard clarity. Mara's been captured. Location unknown, but we tracked a supply convoy, the same transport route we sabotaged, likely taken when we struck. He paused, eyes sweeping the crew. They at least know we exist. They know names. They think they can hurt us with that. Juno stepped forward, voice low. "We can rescue her. Raid the convoy's escort station. It's lightly defended. Could get her out." He nodded, tension easing into resolve. "Then that's our strike point. Assemble a team. Small group, surgical, minimum force." A ripple passed through the room. Rescue missions were dangerous, but Mara was more than crew. She was the axis he turned on. They'd for her. Undercover in the heart of an imperial mining moon, they prepared. The station lay beneath layers of rock, smokestacks venting clouds of ash. Imperial security forces refused to enter its interior. They outsourced safety to contractors. That meant militiamen, mercs, not soldiers. Sloppy, unpredictable, perfect. He changed into non-regulation gear, dusty, worn, baked by solar winds. Heck clipped Juno's blade into his belt, secured 2 plasma pistols. He looked at the extractor team. 6 eyes ready. 6 hearts steady. "Code," he said. "Merc tag. We're supply auditors." "Routine check." They nodded. Trust earned in whispers and scars. They traveled through mining tunnels, bulkheads, grinding pistons. The convoy depot was an open shed of freighters and cargo containers. The patrols were light, security sporadic. A central command dome came into view, tinted black. He signaled the group. They split. 2 to breach the orphan cell block, 2 to disable external guards, and Juno to plant distractor charges. He stayed with the cell team. They cut through a service hatch. Inside, lighting flickered weakly. Cold vents hissed. Security cameras blinked. "Keep it quiet," he whispered. They moved past sealed doors inside a holding bay. The lock swiveled. Guards inside. 2 mercenaries. Perfect. He aimed, shot. Silence stamped in. The guards hit floor. No alarms triggered. Shield still unbroken. The blast door ahead hissed open, revealing a line of cells. He dropped to one knee, scanning there. Mara, shackled, head slumped, unconscious. His throat tightened. Hurried forward. One guard slouched against the wall, dead, crushed, Buff holding a key card. He took it, fingers shaking. He pressed it to the cell lock. The mechanism clicked. The cell door slid open with a choked hiss. She woke as Heck knelt beside her. Her eyes opened, clouded with pain. He offered his hand. She bit her lip, wincing. "Don't, Jay, not yet." He ignored her protest, unlocked cuffs. Carefully he lifted her to standing position. She leaned on him. "You made it out?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Planted sensor on convoy. Had to meet someone." He moved in Imperial. He pulled a gun. His jaw tensed. "I knocked him off my suit. Lost consciousness. When I woke, I was here." He brushed ash from her hair. "You safe now?" They had to move fast. The extractor stopped. Juno's charges had started a small fire in the fuel cluster. Alarms shrieked across the depot. That was their window. He told the team to lead her out. He stayed behind to cover rear. "It's fine," she whispered, voice ragged. "Just promise me we get a ship." He nodded, scanning through smoke and alarms, through long corridors into open hangar. The team cleared a partially built freighter. She could limp aboard. He heard shouting behind him, then footsteps. He spun, a merc lieutenant, pistol tread. He fired. The lieutenant fell, but the sound rang. Other merc appeared in the hangar. 5 of them, rifles raised. He raised his when they saw her strapped in the Freyr's cradle. "We're leaving," he said, voice cold and clear. They hesitated, then charged. He shot one at the threshold, took a plasma bolt to his shoulder, stung like fire. He fired back. 2 down. The rest retreated, 3 running for cover. Mara fired a pistol from the doorway. The 3rd MC dropped. Blank stunned in mid-step. but the Freyr's launch bay door was closing. She scrambled inside as he fired an EMP grenade, shorting the courtyard lights, shredding optics. He bolted forward, breached a bulkhead into docking bay, vanishing as the freighter doors sealed. He heard the ship engine ignite just as a Merc bolt slammed into his back, knocking him off his feet. Blackness stretched out. When he woke, he was strapped to a medical bunk. Alarm skimmed quietly overhead. His shirt was cut open. Juno sat in fast scrub uniform beside him, wiping his brow. She met his stare. "You're alive," he wheezed. "I knew I'd come back." She smiled and something like relief flickered in her eyes. "How's Mara?" Juno slid a data pad to him. It showed her vitals and scans. Bruised, dehydrated, still recovering, but alive. He closed his eyes. Relief washed through him. 6 hours later, he found them both in the ship's main hold. Mara leaned against a crate, weak but standing. He walked to her. "Why did you tell me?" he asked softly. She swallowed. "Men here, they weren't mercenaries. Imperial Marines, not contractors." She held his gaze. Raw truth between them. His heart stuttered. "So they knew you were Earthburn? Knew who you were?" She nodded. "When I planted the sensor, one recognized me. A childhood face before Earth died. He betrayed me, tracked my steps." He closed his eyes because he knew that name. He always protected her. But someone had slipped through. He asked, voice rough, "How many know?" She swallowed. "The supply officers, 2 convoy commander, 4 more." He let that sit cold and bitter. "Then we have Lake," he said. "We wind them out. And that lieutenant, he's still alive on that moon." He spat. She looked away. "It killed him." He sank onto a crate. "Good." He looked up. But the rest over the next hours, they fortified. He walked the corridors with Juno. They whispered plans, contained the leak, stage an ambush. "I can't risk exposure." He said, "We strike here. They'll be ready." She tapped a nav screen. She pointed. "We bait them. Use the leak. Spread word that Earth fleet's here. Ready to negotiate stationing help in neutral space. Let them come." He stared in Otrap. "Yes, we take out their trackers, get data, plus morale blow." He nodded. "They think Terra is myth. We give them this." He nodded at her. "They'll know Webite." That night, he found himself staring at an old Earth relic, a metal disc engraved with a phoenix passed to him by Mara years ago. Earth symbol, Mortali band. He pulled it free. He held it. Felt weight, warmth. He ran fingertips over the faded lines. He whispered, "You gave me purpose." He locked eyes to darkness of space ahead. "For that, beauty and comfort." He slid it away, memory stowed. A week later, they left Feminine Moon behind them. The convoy station was offline, abandoned, but they left a small team in stealth mode. He met them in War Room. 10 volunteers, half soldiers, half X. Headled them. It was a bait mission. Swipe a convoy full of trackers, data, convoy logs, then feed them to ambush. They nodded. He looked at Mara. She wore scars, hospital gown. She leveled pistol at console. "I'm with you." He nodded. Heart lifting. At convoy, meet location. He shut systems. Ship drifted in asteroid shadows. The convoy came. 4 freighters with 2 corvettes escort. They waved the green emissary lights. He watched long-range cams. When they closed enough, he hit audio. "This Carl's auditor team," he said in gravel. "Request docking. Inspector on board." The lead corvette pinged, "Request need. Switch to red telemetry. Warship clear sight." It fired signal to freighter. "Dock ready." The freighters docked. He cut the feed. Within seconds, the ship unleashed EMP pulse, disabling escorts. Tracking team launched pods into Freyers, hacked systems, downloaded logs. Corvettes scrambled back. He lit ion beams to hold them. 2 down, 1 fled, 1 shattered, but self-destruct didn't go bay mode. He and Mara raced to intercept escape pod. Mara fired console override. She took Thepid. They resumed fire as they slipped away. 3 trackers and data banks on board. They returned triumphant. They fed trackers to interrogation. Mercer screened and spilled data on Imperial grid positions. He had names, coordinates, mission logs. Once Pandora's box open, but at midnight, I found Mara crying in the small chapel room. An aisle inside converted cargo hold. Old Earth tradition, wood slats, moonlight pane. He sat beside her. "You good?" he asked. She wiped tears. "I killed my brother." He blinked. She whispered. "He saw me." Echoed me. Recognized Earth blood in my voice. He tried to help. Empire wanted me. He gave his life to let me escape. She looked up. "He was my brother, actually, Anna Thurbreth. I used him." He didn't say a word. She continued. "I've watched every live feed. Brother turned traitor becomes one who saves me. I lied to get his help." He was silent. She held his hand. "I couldn't let you die." He looked away, voice quiet. "We build on lies, soon it becomes hate." She cried harder. He pulled her close. "Your forgiveness, maybe that's enough." She cried into his armor. He kept vigil outside. Ships moved silently. Sectors toggled new grid lines. The leak closeted, but trackers fleeing. He plotted next move, hit 3 key relay stations. Empire fleets repositioning to who? Juno turned. Debate tight. Alliance possibly fractures. He nodded. They'll follow the data. The truth prevails. Mara's face shone tiredly. Her bloodied clothes marked with scorch and smoke. He stepped close. She met his gaze. "We did it," she said. He pulled her into embrace. Captain, soldier, survivor, all held past, future, choice. "I couldn't do this without you," she whispered. "You didn't ask me to. Hell it go." He looked out as evac pods launched. That night, they gathered in the chapel hold. Soft lighting. Names of fallen flickered. Pharaoh's victims, Ronin, others. He stood and addressed them. Crew, captains, support leaders. We struck a blow to their capacity to wage war. We exposed truth, but we also lost ourselves in tactics that haunt. He paused, voice rough. Tonight we honor our losses. Honor pharaohs. Honor Ronin. Honor those we promised not to sacrifice. They bowed heads, he continued. Tomorrow we'll push forward. Empire shipyards next, then core fleets. We'll take no civilian lives without absolute necessity. We'll act with purpose, not vengeance. Juno placed a hand on his shoulder. Mara, eyes closed, nodded. After service, he left the chapel. The empty corridor stretched under light. He walked alone to the Phoenix disk box, slid onto the metal surface. He turned it over in his fingers. He whispered to the silent ship. We rebuild from ashes. This ember still burns. He looked out viewport to the star-strewn belt. Thefleet shadows curled. Unknown, unregistered, but undeniably present. Their path ahead was brutal. Betrayal, war, loss loomed. But they were not that which they fought. They were Earth reborn. The hangar bay thrummed as Thefleet assembled before the void. Ahead lay the Empire's Seasheim shipyard, carved into a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Its industrial sprawl bristling with unfinished crew-class warships and armored carriers. This was the culmination. Their last strike to fracture the Empire's war machine and reveal its rot to every world everywhere. He walked the platform alongside his captains, Mara, Juno, Valak, and their remaining shadow operatives. Casualties lined the bay, scars and uniforms, body armor chipped, grief and unspoken glances. Everyone felt the weight of what had come before. Pharaoh's Morka, all eyes lost, lines drawn in cosmic dust. The plan was bold. Launch a surprise raid from multiple vectors. Cloaked gunships would seed ion nets to jam the orbital girdle. Drone swarms would paralyze defense nodes. Shadow Team would infiltrate surface hub, open hangar doors, and sabotage the starship cores. Heavy Frig will deliver the final blow. All while the extracted intelligence of the shipyard's inner council, manifestos, genocide protocols, work to I-cores was streamed live to every free fleet and out of Empire system. This mission Final Reckoning, they launched in silence. Crescent of gunships slipped through ion belts. Window of slip space ruptured cloaked to avoid patrol scans. He guided the fleet anchor ship, broadcasting only to his inner circle. Seconds before impact, he keyed the feed. Today, we bring dark truth into light. We reveal not just what the Empire builds. They build annihilation. We bring them down so no fleet is ever raised on lies again. He ended feed. Fragments of space shattered as gunship volleys lit ablaze. Defense nodes screamed, but were cut by in nets. Glazed shields flickering, confused. Drone swarms ascended, chewing wires and sensors. Alarms cut through the shipyard complex like forced awakenings. Shadow Team doled no longer. Mara led the G-Fill pod through cover fire, landing near the Central Operations Spire. They slithered into service tunnels toward the control center. Explosive charges had already severed hangar door relays. It would open within minutes, enough for their squad and freedom fighters aboard to hook in and detonate starship cores. Below, gunships engaged gun platforms. Heavy ships pummeled orbital ring emitters. Frigates spiraled with plasma arcs. In the control hub, Mara hauled cables, jammed node drives, and began live upload to multiple freighter uplinks orbiting out of range. Data flooded. Grim videos of colony scorings, logs of genetic purges, chilled programmed combat units. The crowd watching Frampert dens to neutral council terminals erupted. The Empire could no longer bury its guilt. But then, hands grabbed her. 2 armored strike marines. Elite class. She hadn't anticipated ground patrols here. They cornered her, stunned pistol at first shot. She fired, but was overwhelmed. Guards cuffed her to a terminal console. Alerts spread like wildfire. Above the fleet paused on monitors, Mara's feed flickered. Live guards dragging her, silhouetted by massive server crystals. She spat curse. She slashed a code module with a hidden knife. Stream cut. He clenched his fist. That flicker meant she was a prisoner within their operation. He took control. Abort hangar strike. Valak protested. She's inside. We can't pull now. Hepriston. Then we open another front. He keyed missile stream to orbit. Frag AVs to strike perimeter defenses. And we negotiate on the feed. We extract her or we pull her from our records. Few worlds watching. Live or die by their eyes. He set live broadcast and station feed. Hulking War Machines Commander activated podium, massive emblem, Imperial Hydra. Residents of the quadrant. He began voice cold and amplified. Pirates and terrorists have attacked. They have captured our resources, planted false protocols, and threatened planetary order. We are acting now. Surrender, release your hostage or we execute her. Mara stood rigid behind the commander, gagged, posture defiant. A live feed icon pulsed red before millions of Maniters. He watched, jaw set. The fleet held. Linear lines aimed. He hit counter signal. Citizens of the galaxy. His voice cut across the Imperial feed. What you're watching is your truth. The Empire hides behind propaganda while burning your worlds. Below, they threaten Captain Mara, The woman who brought this data to you. Ask yourselves, do you trust them or us? We offer proof. We offer accountability. Their weapon is lies. We bring evidence. He opened feed to show proof. Shipyard data, videos, files. Icons popped on screen. Ransacking colonies, eraser logs, world genocide slides. No fortress could block this. He let it sink. The commander barked orders, but hesitation rippled across his shoulder. Fear of broadcasted truth. Back on ship deck, Juno watched for Mara's feed count. Pirate dens, council systems, neutral freighters, all toggling streams, votes, petitions to intervene. Emergency fleet offers poured in, but Imperial lockdown held surface. He turned to VA Lick.deploy HVT rescue units, siloed under gunships, camouflaged boarding pods ready. Valak flashed a grin. He remained a scoundrel, but one refined under purpose. On it. Moments later, boarding pods launched into blitz formation, docking thrusters, stabbing at station hull. He kept feed live. All hell broke loose in tight corridors. Heavy muzzle fire, grenades flashing across panels, Marines scrambling under smoke. Shadow Team rejoined boarding squad. They killed guards silent, fought quick. His stomach knotted as he watched Mara thrown into a holding cell. Chestpat blood. They dragged her to core door vent. The boarding squad's blasted panels opened hatch. Mara sagged against the wall once freed. She locked eyes with Juno and him on live screen. He reached toward the viewport as if to topple her through. She gave a slow nod. "We'll hold," she whispered. "Finish it." Valak detonated the dock sabotages. Hangar doors blew open like shutters. Lamps fell. Undefainted hull sections exposed. A chain reaction triggered. Detonators preset inside the shipyard. Ionized core melts. Reactors go supercritical. Cascades into warship cradles. Firestorms erupted. Theboarding squads backed out. Mara stumbled but held herself. 3 minutes later, they stood back on command ship deck. Juno catching her. Behind them, the hangar's reflections flickered through viewport. Fire-consuming hull. Starship cradles twisted. Assembly arms fallen like dead giants. His voice trembled. "You did it." She closed her eyes, blood and soot across her face, smile of defiance. They watched broadcast viewers. Council terminals lit blue. Councils voted to intervene. Charity measures flagged, pirate dens mourned and rallied. Systems began repelling Imperial trade lanes on principle. Diplomatic blockades activated. The Empire found itself besieged on wave after wave of public outrage. The commander on screen looked petrified, his Hydra emblem blurred behind him. He leaned forward, voice cold but resolute. "To those still listening, I'm not in your records, but I'm in your future. Our future. We don't just tear down lies. We rebuild from ashes. You have a choice. Join us or remember us." He cut feed. Silence wrapped the war room. Minutes passed like hours. Finally Juno spoke. "We hold. Wait." He nodded. Beside him, Mara sank into a chair, bloodied but unbroken. He turned to remaining captains. "We've made our stand. Allies will return. Systems will flock, but we give no quarter. No mercy. We wake a galaxy, a ripple of ascent." Later, he found Mara on launch deck, watching the burning yards drifting in orbit. She leaned her head on his shoulder. He asked nothing, she spoke softly. "We did something final." He closed his eyes, pressed her hand. Together they watched Empire scorch in the sky. A beautiful, terrible sunrise. Epilogue. Minutes later, he stood by the Phoenix disk, placing it on the pedestal. He whispered, "Earth reborn." A new feed lit aboard the flagship. Dozens of Allied ships entering the vicinity. Titan's tears reinstating. Martel packed. Aram coalition and Den militias. Whole fleets. Others had rallied. They aligned behind the ghost fleet. He exhaled, looked to the stars. Ready for phase 2? Juno asked softly. He nodded, a weight lifted. Another pressed on shoulders, but somewhere in the burning orbit of that yard, something seed-like flickered. Hope, and thus ends the saga of... It was a grainy satellite image, barely clear, but he could make out the continents. He didn't know where on that ball of dirt his bloodline came from. Didn't matter. Earth was memory. Earth was fire. Earth was the one truth the Empire couldn't scrub from the stars. Set course for Nexus 7, he said without looking up. There's an outpost there, low tier, mostly smugglers and mercenaries, but it's got eyes on Empire routes. You think they'll talk? Juno asked. They will, he said. Or they'll burn. The jump drive screamed to life and the ship slipped into slipspace like a phantom. Untracked, unmarked, and unafraid. Nexus 7 was a floating sewer pipe of corruption and shadows. The Empire tolerated its existence because it kept criminals busy fighting each other instead of destabilizing real systems. But today, the war came knocking. The commander didn't even try to hide. He whipped into the cantina in full gear. Black combat armor, twin sidearms, boots still stained with Imperial blood. The music stopped. Conversations died. Every merc, thief, and half-baked bounty hunter knew one thing. That man was not Empire. He sat at the bar, tapped the metal surface twice. The bartender, a Withrodex Imperial medic turned alcoholic, froze. I need records, the commander said calmly. Ship routes, supply lines, cargo manifests. The bartender shook his head. I don't sell that anymore. Empire monitors everything now. I've got a grandkid. The commander laid something on the bar. It was a fragment of Carthus badge, still slick with blood. Start selling again. Within hours, the commander had what he needed. Maps of soft target routes, information on supply convoys, schedules of communication satellites. He didn't need to take out fleets to win. He just needed to make the Empire bleed. One artery at a time. Juno joined him in a dark corner of the bar. You really think one ship and a bunch of outlaws can break the Empire? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a small ancient recording device from his belt. He clicked it on. A voice crackled out. Old, broken, tired. If anyone finds this, if anyone survives, remember us. We were Earth, and we mattered. He turned it off, looked at her. I don't need to win. I just need to make sure they never sleep again. In the following weeks, the galaxy changed. Convoys disappeared. Communication satellites went dark. Outposts vanished without a trace. The Empire's proud grip began to loosen. Not by armies, but by fear. Every time a ship went missing, every time a survivor was found with the word Earth carved into holes or bodies, the legend grew. They started calling him the Ghost of Earth, the man who wasn't in their records. The one mistake they couldn't erase. But he wasn't done. Not yet. Because buried deep within the Empire score was the archive. A vault of knowledge, secrets, and history wiped clean from the public record. If he could reach it, he could broadcast the truth to the galaxy. Show them what the Empire had done, what it had covered up. The purges, the sterilizations, the extermination of entire bloodlines, and most of all, what they did to Earth. He stood on the bridge of his warship, watching the stars stretch and bend as they prepared to jump again. Target locked? He asked. Juno's voice came steady. Locked and primed. Next jump will take us straight into archive perimeter range. If we make it through, we'll make it. He tightened his gloves, stared ahead. They think they can bury us, but they forgot the one thing Earth taught its sons. He turned to his crew, voice rising with quiet fury. You bury a man, you better make sure he doesn't dig back up with fire in his veins. The stars pulsed. The ship jumped and war truly began. Silence hit the ship like a guillotine. Slipspace dropped away and revealed the outer perimeter of the Empire's archive defense zone. Walls of sensor buoys, automated gun platforms, and patrol flares slicing through darkness. It was cold, sterile, lifeless, built to repel any intruder with ruthless efficiency. He watched the monitor. Lights shifted. Red beams trenched outward, detecting mass signatures. "Idle intrusion field," Juno said. "They haven't fired yet, but they're watching." "Good," he answered, jaw flexing. "They're going to see us, but they won't know what hit them." He flipped open a data pad. "We're carrying 3 decoy drones loaded with the MP charges. One will draw fire. The other 2 get us in." The crew scratched notes, nodded, and moved. They weren't scared. Not anymore. He walked to the viewport. Beneath them, the archive station was a fortress. A cigarette-shaped cylinder, 2 kilometers long, with docking arms and combes bristling outward. The station's surface was as smooth as polished stone, painted fettle gray of bureaucracy and control. "This station," he murmured, "holds every secret the Empire buried, every file on Earth, every playbook for eradication that we break in. We broadcast it across every channel in the sector. Let them judge us. Let other systems wake up." Juno put a hand on his arm. "You mean to wake them up or burn them?" He looked at her, unflinching. "Sometimes you need fire in both hearts." In the skies around the archive, the first drone launched. A sleek sphere with fins, igniting an exhaust flurry, bore rocketing ahead. Imperial turrets screamed to life, gunning it down in seconds. No matter, that drone gave away its location. 2 more followed, programmed to veer off in opposite directions, heading straight for 2 separate firing arrays. "Deploy," Hesed. The crew released them. Then the cruiser slipped off courses, dropping into the debris shadow behind a defunct satellite cluster. A volley of energy bolts chased the decoys, bright, hot, but harmless. The rest of the station's defense grid aimed at ghost signatures, and for a moment, the station's systems were blind. Now he hissed. He hit a sequence, and the ship's cloak engaged. A stolen black market tech module that painted them invisible beyond 300 meters. The entire crew held breath. A white-knuckled minute later, the ship glided into the station's docking corridor without alert. No warning alarms, no broadcastered lights, nothing but silence. They flew in, lights off, systems muted, shields locked at minimal output. The station loomed above them in a suspend of halls and doors and corridors. A labyrinth built to repulse intruders, not hold them. Empire tech, efficient and unforgiving. They disembarked, each of them stripped of heavy gear, moving swift and silent through ignitionless boots. They held plasma rifles, knives, data pads. No room for failure. He led them down a long corridor. Panels beeped with access codes. Security cameras blinked red. Automated patrol drones hovered, scanning. He tapped one panel. It blinked green. They slipped inside. Behind a locked door, a data vault hummed. A chamber of floating memory cores, replicators, drive matrices, millions of terabytes, all the Empire's hidden files. He planted a backup drive. His crew bypassed encryption and started the copy process. 10 terabytes per second, said the tech specialist, voice tight. "But we need cover. They'll sense it." He nodded. "Ready the disruptor charge. We blow main conduit once we're clear." A distant clang echoed. A patrol, or more likely a maintenance bot. Footsteps down the corridor. The hallway lights flipped to alert red. "The station knew time," he murmured. He took position, angled his rifle towards the vault door. The Robocop came first. Imperial maintenance drone. Metal limbs WORING. His shot blew its chassis into sparks. Alert sirens screamed. "Data complete," the specialist announced. "Charge it," he said. They raced for the door. Panasichoed behind them. A squad of human Imperial guards appeared. 2 officers in crisp uniforms, rifles leveled. They didn't say a word. He didn't either. He opened fire. 4 shots, 2 down. A third dropped his weapon. By the time he fired again, the last one rolled into the corridor's shadow. Behind him, Juna smashed the vault chamber's conduit. An explosion of lights and fire. The ship shook. "Retreat," he ordered. They ran twisted. A weightless bolt hit the floor near his foot. Hot, the metal sheared away. He saw the docking corridor entrance ahead. Smoke, red lights, hull groaned. They ran in, slid onto the deck plating. "Cloaks offline," Juno yelled. "They'll scan us in." He roared, "Go, go." The ship gap closed. The docking clamps released. Engines burned white-hot. Behind them, the archive station's corridor erupted. Fire and explosion pulsed. They made it to space. They emerged again into vacuum. Alarm chirped, shields damaged, power down to 50%. But the data drive was intact, and Theshup's cloak re-engaged, automatic. He collapsed to a seat, coughing. Status. Juno rattled out the updates. The ship could only hold 1 war jump before it crashed or fizzled. The station would be on alert. It would send everything they had. Next stop wasn't safe. He backed away. "We broadcast now." She gulped across all frequencies. He stared at her. All of them. They went silent. Then he keyed the drive's port. The files streamed across their onboard transmitter, bouncing off satellites, relaying to outer systems. Screens lit up around the ship. First came data dumps, files, videos, names, trillions off records. Imperial X purge of Earth. Biological warfare on colonies. Clamp operations on Terra Indiat, etc. But then came the real message. He recorded them weaving across handheld footage, scratched metal behind him, sparks of ire. He spoke with fury, pain, defiance. "People of the galaxy, they erased us and lied. They killed Earth and scrubbed their cord. They burned our books, sterilized our genes, claimed no one survived. They wiped our history and said Earth was a myth. But Earth mattered. Its sons matter. I am one of those sons. I carry its memory, and I bring its law." The feed reached every comm channel his haphazard broadcast could hit. Mercenary bases, pirate dens, free fleets, subsystems allied with Empire turned silent. Systems under its thumb flickered with static. It began as nothing more than a blip, barely a flicker on the outer surveillance grid of Sector 17, a faint, unmarked signal. No code, no claim. No origin. According to Imperial protocol, unknown meant insignificant. The Grand Empire spanned over 2,000 systems, an endless expanse governed by order, precision, and unshakable control. Yes, they had enemies, but none were truly mysterious. Every threat had a profile. Every rebel had a history. Every danger had a name. That was how the Empire kept its peace, by believing nothing could surprise it. So when the anomaly appeared, no one sounded an alarm. A small patrol fleet was dispatched, 6 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and a single long-range carrier. Routine work. Hardly worth the attention of high command. The crew laughed about it during pre-jump checks, calling it a ghost ping, a glitch in deep space telemetry. Maybe a pirate relay gone haywire. Maybe nothing at all. They never came back. The Empire's first ripple of panic began when, 42 minutes after drop, all communications went dark. No distress signals. No alarms. No tactical feeds. Just silence then. Static. 2 days later, a recovery drone limped back into Imperial space. Half melted. Hull punctured by dense, metallic impacts. Kinetic slugs, not plasma. Not antimatter, kinetic, obsolete by thousands of years. Yet devastatingly effective. Whatever fired them didn't care about the Empire's opinions on primitive weapons. Black box footage it carried chilled even the hardiest commanders. A cruiser detonated from the inside out, imploding as if something had tunneled through its core. Another ship drifted by, engines ripped clean off, still glowing, hurled like discarded debris. The carrier's command deck had been breached by something unseen, something impossibly fast, brutally efficient. No warnings, no orders, just screaming, then nothing. And when the last frame froze, the Admiral saw it, a message carved by hand into the blackened hull of a drifting cruiser. Human letters, scorched deep into the steel. We are not in your records because your records are lies. Empires don't panic overnight. It begins as rumor, quiet, creeping, dismissed by those too powerful to feel fear. One lost fleet? A malfunction. A fluke. A story for bored officers. But then came another signal. Closer this time. The same untagged frequency. The same impossible signature. The Empire responded the only way it knew how, with overwhelming force. 20 ships. Fully armed. Authorized to erase whatever dared challenge them. They vanished too. Only wreckage drifted back. And etched into the hull of a shattered destroyer were new words. We remember Earth, do you? The Empire did not. Not truly. Earth was a myth, an entry scrubbed from the galactic archives. A ruin consumed by its own wars 2 centuries ago. The rise of the Grand Empire had buried that chapter, declaring the species extinct, irrelevant. But in the dead zones beyond map space, something had endured, something patient, something angry. On the bridge of a stolen Imperial warship, a man stood in silence, dark uniform, half-shadowed face, eyes reflecting starlight like a predator returned from the grave. Under the flicker of damaged bulkheads he stood, eyes sweeping the ruin of the Imperial task force. Fires painted the void in angry orange. Bodies drifted, armor still bearing rank and creed. He lit a cigarette, real tobacco, black market stash from a miner's vault, and exhaled slowly. They thought we were finished, he muttered to the wreckage. They listed us as extinct. He moved to the rail, fingers wrapped around cold metal. Now they'll learn our name, one fleet at a time. The cruiser shuddered beneath his boots as jury-rigged repair servos whined and welded torn plates shut. Sparks spit from ripped conduits. Blood streaked the corridor. Imperial, civilian, a map of recent violence. He didn't bother with the mess. This wasn't about honor or cleanliness. It was about recompense. Someone had to make the Empire remember what they'd erased. His file didn't exist in any registry. No Imperial dossier, no genetic tag, no recorded birthplace. He was off the grid, and that anonymity was his weapon. He'd been born under the crust of Titan Station, 2 centuries after Earth was declared dead. Raised by scavengers and hard women who eat life from scrap tech and old AIs, he never had a surname. Names were luxuries where he came from. Now they called him Commander, not as honor, but as warning. He'd earned it in blood. Behind him the bridge moved like a funeral, quiet, efficient, each face a map of past ruin. Exiles, raiders, refugees, people ground under the Empire's heel in one way or another. Now they answered with violence, not for glory but for payback. Casualties? He said without turning. Juno, tactical, gave the numbers flat. 2 dead for wounded. Port cannons gone, propulsion's limp but holding. Shields bruised, won't hold a second volley. She let a small, grim smile slide. All 20 enemy hulls disabled, 4 vaporized. 13 officer corps recovered, 1 captain breathing. He nodded, then turned. Bring him here. Nobody asked why. They never did. Minutes later, 2 crewmen hauled the officer in. His armor, once brilliant, hung cracked and blistered. A wide gash scored his chest plate. Blood seeped from a split lip, one eye a purple bruise. Still, arrogance clung to his jaw like mold. Imperial officers carried superiority like a creed you could not strip away, even facing death. "You're not registered," the officer rasped between clenched teeth, blood flecking the deck. "No file, no system entry." The commander stepped forward and looked him in the eyes. "Neither is justice." He ripped the helmet off and slammed it down. It fractured, sending shards across the plating. "Name?" he asked. "Admiral Caruso," the man spat, trying to swell with rank. "3rd Dominion Fleet Class 5 Executive." "Good." The commander's voice was cold. "You can carry a message back." "I'm not your courier," Caruso managed, lungs burning. "No." The blade gleamed as he drew it. "But your body will." Without hesitation, he sank the knife into the officer's thigh deep, precise, not meant to kill. The man screamed, a raw, animal sound. The crew did not flinch. Some watched with bored indifference. "We'll carve your fleet's sigil into your skin," the commander said, voice low. "And beneath it, a word in a dead tongue. Then we'll set you adrift in a pod near the next Imperial checkpoint. They'll find you. They'll raid it." Caruso spat blood through clenched teeth. The commander leaned in close earth. In the polished halls of the Imperial Corps Council, panic was dressed in protocol and bureaucracy. 12 high-ranking officers sat in silence around a glistening obsidian table. Holograms hovered above them. Tactical data, wreckage scans, footage they'd sworn to never release to the public. "This can't be real," murmured High Strategist Vaughn. "The Empire wiped out all Earth remnants centuries ago. It was cleansed, archived, erased." "We were wrong," said another. "Something survived and it hates us." Grand Admiral Strauss clenched his fists behind his back. Hahud watched the footage himself of Carthus, fleet being ripped apart like paper of the message seared onto the survivor's chest. Earth, one word had become a ghost that haunted there. Enter a military doctrine. "They're using hybrid tech." Another general added, "Ancient Earth projectile weaponry fused with high-density plasma manipulation. Tactical AI systems not in any known coding sequence. It's not just survival. It's evolution. Ruthless, decentralized, and unpredictable." "Then we need to retaliate," Strauss barked. "Level every unregistered system. Wipe out every trace." A thin smile curled on the youngest admiral's face. "That's the thing. We don't know where they are." The silence that followed was colder than space. Back on the stolen warship, the commander stared at an old photo, the last one ever taken of Earth, before it was declared uninhabitable.